Hi folks, Peter Carlos here with your acting tip for the day. I should say it's acting tip for the night. It's here we are in Melbourne. It's 3 a.m. We're still in COVID-19 isolation. I've been up all night working. But what I want to talk about today is the actor acting teacher relationship. During this week, there was a whole bunch of students I literally haven't seen for months. We haven't been open since March, and now it's like October. And you miss them. You miss them as people. You miss them as actors. And I called a few and we found out what's going on with them. And it's funny because I was looking back at my teachers. I had three big teachers as far as acting is concerned. The first one was Stella Adler because Stella introduced me to plays that I'd never heard of and writers that I'd never heard of. Coming from Melbourne, Australia in the mid 80s. Uh, there was Ibsen and Chekhov. I'd heard of Chekhov, but didn't know Chekhov. And she talked about Miller and Tennessee Williams and what's the other one that she talked about? What's his name? Clifford Odets, which was a massive one for her. So she made sure you understood plays and character work. Those were big things. And then I went to the Lee Strasberg Institute, and there was one guy there that stuck out for me, really just as powerful as Stella, which was a guy named Mark Marno. He was from New York originally, a Japanese Italian guy, and he was just as ruthless as Stella was. And we'll talk about ruthlessness and supportiveness, because they were both ruthless, but they were very supportive. And then the other massive influence was a guy which I've spoken about a few times. His name was Barry Primus. He's an actor himself. But what Barry did is he took all that information that you find in class and he showed me and taught me how you make it practical. He said, this is great in class, but this is how it works in the real world. So that's what Barry opened my eyes to. I go, yeah, I get that exercise, but now I see how I can actually use it. And those three together are brilliant. Look, I'm not saying that teacher-student relationships, are more or less important than the actor-teacher relationship. The difference is they deal with your intellect and your mind. They teach you things, you memorize them, and you get a degree or something. With the actor-teacher relationship, we deal with your mind, your dream. It's a big responsibility. We know that you're there because you have a dream and a passion, so we have to handle it with care. We deal with your emotions. One of the few jobs where we actually deal with your emotions and your own humanity. We hear everything about you. People tell us stuff, and I tell people, you don't have to tell me stuff. We're not here for that. It's not therapy. But we see you when you're broken. We see you when you're having a bad day. We see it come out in the work. We see you being emotional. We see you being crushed. We see you being happy. We see you being excited. We see you, not get the audition and fall apart. So we're in the trenches with you. Hear the body, the dream, and it's a very unique relationship because we're not friends in a sense. And I don't do the teacher guru thing. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that do. It's like insane. I talk to them, we have a good time, but we all have that understanding that when we're in class, when it's time to work, I am the teacher and you are the student, and it's work time. We can go out for a drink later and we can do all that kind of stuff. Not with everyone, of course, but that relationship, that space is sacred, and it has to be taken care of. It has to be protected. That's important because the student, also the actor, and we shouldn't call them students, they're actors, they then feel comfortable in that space. And they can reveal their weaknesses and their fears and their issues about it, and also their strengths come through. Do you know what I'm saying? One of the things I tell people, first of all, we have to distinguish between an acting teacher and an acting coach. And I'm a teacher. Stella was a teacher. Lee was a teacher. Marno was a teacher. The difference is this, and I've explained this to quite a few people. An acting teacher builds acting muscle. An acting coach, for the most part, works with the existing muscle. So they say, this is what you're capable of, let me guide you and let me show you how to do it. We say, no, this is your strength, this is your weakness, Let's work on this. Let's work on this tool. Let's work on this skill. So we build acting muscle as acting teachers. And also as acting teachers, we usually work with someone long term. Just the other day, I posted an article about Dennis Hopper, and he studied with Lee for 5 years. These numbers don't come up to people these days as often. People do weekend workshops. And as an acting teacher, first of all, what we shouldn't do, it's not our job to tell someone how to do something. Our job is to give you the tools so you can figure it out for yourself, because we're not going to be there on the film. You read the script, it's your ideas that have to come through. So that way, it's not cookie cutter for everyone. You can't teach someone the same thing. You can't mass produce actors. You have to sit down, you have to find their vibe, you have to find out where they're coming from. And then you say, for that ingredient, you need that skill, that tool. And you shouldn't tell them how to do things. You gotta let them find it for themselves. You gotta go, somewhere in that direction lies something. Somewhere in this moment of the scene, there's something. There's more breathing room. That's what I tell people, meaning that you can do more with it. But what they do with it is their talent, their vision, their art. So you shouldn't step on that or manipulate that. Your job as an acting teacher is to give them the skills so that comes through for them. That's important. That's a big difference. When you do weekend workshops, and I hate doing them, I've done very few of them, there's a responsibility to some degree to impress people because you're only there for a weekend. So it's very easy to fly to some city and impress someone with work, because you can't drag on the work. Then you can't do slow growth. You got to be there, and it's manipulative in a sense of, I show you what to do, I manipulate you in the moment. People go, wow, look at that result, but they haven't really learned anything. They learn it up here. So in that sense, it's good because I can show you what we're capable of, but there's no actual growth there. Growth takes time, bonding, understanding, day in, day out. And that relationship is what we fight for. And it doesn't always work. I've had students that I just don't want to teach because the chemistry isn't there. There has to be an understanding and a respect, and you have to have a sense that they're in it for the right reason. You know what I'm saying? You gotta love it. You gotta really need to do this as an actor. If I don't see that in someone, and I'm quite open about it, I say, it's money. Thank you for being in my class. I'll take your money, but it's okay if you go somewhere else. Where other actors can, call me, 24/7, and they do. I've had, oh my God, a whole range of phone calls. I've had people call me, 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk, telling me that they love me in a platonic way, and I've changed their life. I've had other people call me from prison, other people call me from hospitals, And I remember once someone did call me from a prison. I said, look, I'm not their parent, or I'm just their acting teacher. And the cop actually laughed. But we do, because we see you go through all these personal things, we're with you. And we're there to support that. We're there to let that come out. And then we're there to give you the skills so you know what to do with it when on your own. My job is to help you get this and this, your vision, out. Not to tell you my vision, not to tell you how to do it. I can make suggestions, but that's what we're here for. And that whole creative process, it's a lot of, you got to kind of feel it. It's not an intellectual thing. You got to sit with it. You got to find it. And it's a together thing. We find it together many times, and especially people that have worked with me longer know that about me. So if there's someone in class, they're looking for the answer, and someone that I've worked with, they say, what about this? And I kind of go, I don't know yet. Give me a minute. Give me 2 minutes. Give me 10 minutes. We'll find it. But I always say we'll find it, and we do find it. Where the new actor, or the acting student, like I call them, is looking for the thing that is going to get it to them, and they got to write it down. I'm like, no, put your pen and paper down. That's not how it works. We're in this together. We're going to solve this together. So you do need a good acting teacher to sharpen those instincts, and to make you take it all and provide it in a sense of a skill. Because if you have that skill, then you as an actor and as an artist can create it on your own. That's very, very important. And you've got to find that in a good teacher. And once you find them, work with them till you've exhausted them. Work with them till they've given you everything. And as a teacher, that's our joy. We actually, it's genuine when you see one of your students do well. I enjoy it, number one, because I enjoy the film. I go, wow, I don't have to think. When I see good work, I don't think. I just let it come to me. And you see their growth and you see them master it. And it's like the ship has left the harbor now. That's them doing their work and you admire it and you take pride in it because you kind of have an understanding or a gut feeling as to what they did with it. And it's a beautiful process to see. That's what acting is. It's beautiful. You see them come out, you see their heart and soul, and it's a connection. It stays with you. So as there's a wonderful quote, and I think I found it here. Philip Seymour Hoffman, I'm reading off my computer here. He says, study, find all the good teachers and study with them. Get involved in acting, act not to be famous for the money. Do plays. It's worth it. It's not worth it. I fucked it up. Wait. Study, find all the good teachers and study with them. Get involved in acting to act, not to be famous or for the money. Do plays. It's not worth it if you're just in it for the money. You have to love it. It costs too much energy, too much of your heart and soul if you're in it for money. Do you know what I'm saying? So make sure you find the right chemistry between you and a teacher and work hard with them together. Take care. Do the work.